Let's get started. Live, trance, and prosper. Hi, I'm Dr. Brian David Phillips, and welcome. Hopefully, folks will figure this sucker out. I am online and ready to go. So, let's get to her. This week, or today, the webinar is on dreamwalking. Ooh! Now, what is dreamwalking? Dreamwalking is a fancy, cool way of saying shared dreams. What are shared dreams, you may ask? A shared dream is, of course, a dream that is shared with others. And I don't mean, well, last night I had this dream about a banana in a boat covered in what looks like a white frosty kind of stuff. It was all creamy and wonderful. I don't mean telling people about your dreams. Some of your dreams I know are probably incredibly creepy and weird. That's okay. Yay, you. No, it's not just telling people about dreams, but it's sharing dreams in the action of being in a dream. Now, the idea or the concept of shared dreaming or dream walking is as old as humans. Okay, and that experience of humans sharing their dreams, it goes back to, well, Neolithic, definitely Neolithic. We know for certain that there were dreamwalkers in Neolithic times, and today's Neolithic societies have dreamwalkers. Actually, they have more dreamwalkers than modern societies, or so-called modern societies. Probably Paleolithic had them. We don't know that other hominids have had dreamwalkers. I suspect they did. I'm pretty sure that the Neanderthal had them because they're so close to us. But essentially, there are different levels or types of dream walking. When you see the term dream walking, you may think in terms of, say, the dream time, and indigenous peoples who have this concept of shaman, or just regular folks who do it, who happen to be shaman, entering into the dream space or the dream time. This dream space is a collective notion, an idea, it's a concept, it's a social, psychological, religio construct where the dream walker goes to the meeting place where they meet other shaman or other dream walkers, and they converse, or they meet the ancestors or those who have been before us. And that is a very old and very ancient tradition of the dreamwalker, is to enter into dream time. Now, other types of dreamwalking might simply be something as simple as, I'm walking in my dreams and I know I'm dreaming and I can control my dreams. Most of the folks watching this will, or listening to it, will recognize the idea of lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is a sort of dream walking where you are aware you are in a dream, and most dream walkers are aware they're in dreams. You're aware you're in a dream, and you can control the dream. And so you can manipulate things. The mage is able to cross into dream time, or the dream construct, rather, or if you prefer, and have seen recent Hollywood movies, the mirror universe, where you can manipulate what's going on around you. It's not the real world, but it is the dream world, and you have control over it as long as you are aware of that control. Now, those of you who are trance users, hypnotists and trance workers of different types, you're aware that the human mind is able to construct reality. And those of you who are familiar with neurology understand this. The psychology of neurology tells us absolutely that there is reality as we experience it is not objective. It is always subjective. Yes, there's objective data out there, but our brains interpret that data. Once it's input into the brains interpret it and then create that reality. So the reality you're sensing, the reality you're experiencing right now is genuinely a constructed reality. Your mind has created it. Oh, it may be very, very, very similar to my reality, as my mind constructs my reality. But there are subtle differences in how we perceive things and how we interpret those things that causes our realities to be a bit different. This is why conservatives and liberals can take the same data set and have completely different reactions to it. And I don't just mean about political interpretation or socioeconomic interpretation. They actually see different things happening because their realities are constructed differently by their brains. Conservative brains are genuinely, ultra-conservatives have very different brains than ultra-liberals. There are cognitive differences in how they perceive things and how they interpret things and how they process things. And as long as we understand that, that's okay. That's why most governments tend to try to go into the middle, so we can have a shared reality, a construct where most things can be agreed upon. Now, lucid dreaming is not the same as typical shared dreaming. Shared dreaming, you're in the dream with others, and you may be able to manipulate things in the dreams, these co-constructed dreams and co-realities. But it gets a little tricky, and as it gets tricky, we play with it a bit more and we gain a little more facility with it. Another type of dreaming, of course, is the co-dream. And co-dreams are where I go to a person and we agree to share a dream. And it's more of a psychological experiment than anything else, where we endeavor to share dreams. And there are some wonderful resources out there for couples dreamings, for folks who wish to enhance their intimacy to share dreams. Now, here's the thing. Some of you watching this, or listening to it if you're doing the audio file, you're familiar with shared dreaming and the constructs. And some of you have a metaphysical bent, and some of you have a physics bent, and some of you have a psychological bent. Okay, so some folks, as they listen to me talk about co-dreaming and stepping inside someone else's dream, they're saying, oh, cool, I can actually do that. I can get inside someone's dream. Ooh. And other folks are saying, yeah, that's an interesting construct. It's a wonderful metaphor for how we deal with new input. So for those people, it's a psychological thing. For some folks, it's a religious construct. And religious constructs can be both physics and can be psychological. It varies, right? So how you perceive this experience is up to you. It's like when I teach metaphysical hypnosis, or if you prefer, I think the current name is psychic hypnosis. When I teach that material of past life regression, or shared life regressions, or shared life progressions, when I experience and teach life trance work, I tell my students there are two ways of looking at this. It's real, or it's a psychological metaphor. All right? And I've had students with both bent. Okay? And it doesn't matter what your interpretation of the results are, psychological or physical. What matters is the positive results you achieve. Honestly, if someone goes through a past life regression, I don't care as much if it's a real life that they've experienced. Oh, I care that the process is clean. I care that they're not having complete confabulation and fantasy. But I care less if the life they imagine or experience is an experienced life or an imagined life. What really matters is the positive results for social and psychological change. And if they've made positive change, or if they have a positive experience, then I'm cool. I'm good with it. I have my personal feelings about this. I really do. I have a religious belief. I genuinely do. I also have a scientific belief. I genuinely do. And I know what I believe is going on. All right. However, I can teach the process clean. And so you can experience it and interpret the data and see how your mind creates your reality and see what you think about it and see what you experience with it. And so today we're going to look at a few different types of dream walking, and I'll talk about the processes one would use to perhaps go through that and experience it or not, depending. Now, some of you who are viewing or listening to this webinar are experienced trance workers. And so you know how to go into an experiential trance. And you know the processes. And so I can give you a few tips on this. I'll run through some simple ideas here. If you need more, you can always go to my website, www.briandavidphillips.net, and check out some of the things there so that you can learn more how to use trance and experiential trance, which is a little different than, well, actually that's not true. The experiential trance is not a little different from actual regular trance. Experiential trance is a whole lot different, and it's much more visceral, and that's the sort of trance where you actually experience what's suggested as if it's real. And to really get benefit out of these processes and these ideas, you really want to get there. You want to get into an experiential state so that you can indeed have that experience. And so let's get to her. First off, lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is the easiest of the batch, and it's also what a lot of folks misunderstand. Many folks, when they think of lucid dreaming, they think somehow it is a holy grail of dream work. It is a step toward searching for your holy grail, whatever that is, or the center of the maze, or whatever your goal of the moment is. The lucid dreaming is essentially that ability to be aware of, revivify, and to control your experience of a dream. Now, how do you do that? Pop yourself into hypnosis or experiential trance and then do it. I realize the webinar, the video quality is really low when we set these up. That's just the ins and outs of the internet. Eventually what I do is we do the live one, so those folks who are here with us, and then eventually we hope to put up a higher quality video. Doesn't always happen, so that's why some folks are here now watching, even though the timing might be late where they live. It's Sunday morning for me here in Taiwan, and I know many of my viewers are in the US or Canada. Actually, North America. I have most of my viewership and membership from my websites are North America and Northern Europe. North America, Northern Europe. Asia is midpoint or lower, actually, even though I do live in Asia. Yay! But I live here, and it is absolutely wonderful. And those of you who don't live in beautiful Taiwan, you are missing so much, and that's on you. But because of the ins and outs of the internet, sometimes our quality works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the high quality recording works, sometimes it doesn't. So it's a hodgepodge. I do the webinars typically on Sunday morning here because that allows folks in North America that is Saturday night. And the sort of people who watch my material have nothing to do on a Saturday night anyway. Yay. That's called sarcasm, and it is a joke. And if it's true, I apologize. I'm so sorry. All right, lucid dreaming. Pop yourself into trance. Boom. Now, once you're in trance, deepen the experience, and then give yourself suggestions. 1. While in trance, while guiding yourself or being guided by another, I find that my trance work typically works better if I have someone else guiding me. All hypnosis or all experiential trance is self-hypnosis, but I find heterohypnosis allows me to give the driving over to someone else, and it allows me to drift easier. Okay? I give it over to them, but I tend to have a deeper experience when someone else is guiding me. I can still do this by myself. You can still do this by yourself. If you are a professional hypnotherapist or a trance guide or a pastoral guide, I work with a lot of pastors, you can still guide others into this experience. If you're not one of those, then you don't need that tool in your toolbox of guiding others. You just guide yourself, and you can do that through experiential states. Some of you do meditation or practice qigong or some sort of trance method, self-hypnosis, heterohypnosis, whatever. But go into your state, and while you're in state, give yourself suggestions to enter a dream. And give yourself a suggestion to vivify that dream, to make it vivid in terms of the senses. Some people, when they daydream, for instance, it's just a light idea. They can tell very readily that it's just imagination. Maybe it's black and white. Maybe the colors are muted. Maybe the sounds aren't there. It's like a silent movie. Maybe they have sounds, but they're muted. But in trance, give yourself suggestions or suggest to others that those experiences are more vivid. Build it up so that you become as if it's real. Now, in lucid dreaming, some folks, when they dream, the dream is so vivid they can no longer distinguish between the dream and reality. And that's great. That's your goal for lucid dreaming, is the dream to be so real it's indistinguishable from reality. And so vivid dreaming is part of our goal for lucid dreaming. So give yourself suggestions that your waking dreams are very vivid, and then tie those into your sleeping dreams, that they too are very, very vivid, indistinguishable from real life. But you don't want to get trapped in a dream like in the movies. We have all these TV shows, science fiction shows, where someone's trapped in a dream and they don't know they're dreaming, and all sorts of things are going weird. So, give yourself an anchor point that allows you to notify yourself. Your unconscious notifies you this is a dream. For instance, you see the moon hanging like a disc in the sky. Okay, and it's a certain moon. Okay, so maybe a full moon. And you can be aware of that moon. It's a certain look. Maybe it's a coin. And so when I look up in my dream, I see a coin hanging where the moon should be, or I'm in a room and there's a coin hanging in the air, or it's a spinning top. Yay, Inception. But something's there that allows me to remind myself this is a dream. Okay? And once you have that reminder, you can then begin manipulating the dream. I can change aspects. One reason some folks want lucid dreaming is because perhaps they have a repeated nightmare. For me, there are certain nightmares I have, and ever since I was a little boy, ever since I was a very small boy, if I'm under a lot of stress, there are certain nightmares I have. And that's my unconscious telling me, kid, you're fucking stressed out. You need to do something. And my nightmares tend to be zombies. And I'm not saying that just because zombies are cool today, all right? I have had this since I was a little kid, because when I was a little kid, I saw a zombie movie and it just freaked me out. And my unconscious said, okay, when life is stressed and life is scary, let's remind him by sticking in something that scared the shit out of him as a boy. So I do. I have zombie dreams when I'm stressed out. When I'm not stressed out, no zombies. Okay, and by zombies I don't mean, oh, I'm so empowered I can kill all the zombies. I mean, they're coming and they're going to get me. But through lucid dreaming, if I'm having that kind of stress and it feels real, and I've got that reminder, this is a lucid dream. This is a dream. I can control my dreams. I am a trance master. I am a trance wizard. A wizard of the trance. Magister dreamy. And so I can then manipulate the dream. If the zombies seem too much, I can pull them back. I can give myself weaponry if it's in a particularly violent dream that I need to respond to. If I'm feeling overwhelmed, or I can begin changing things so that these are no longer scary zombies. These are cartoony guys. You can begin to manipulate the dreamscape and feel as if it's real. So you can dissolve the threat. You can take that threat, manipulate it in a way so that it no longer feels as if it's a stress or a threat to you. So that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. So do that. Lucid dreaming. Now, you're doing that in a waking state in hypnosis. All right. But you give yourself suggestions that before you go to sleep, just remind yourself of these suggestions. Pop yourself in a trance. Remind yourself that you have the cue. And remind yourself that you can control. And you can experiment with it. You can start with, before you go to sleep at night, just pop yourself in a trance and tell yourself, I'm going to drift off into a dream. And I'll begin manipulating it. It's a short one. And so it's like any skill set, you practice over time. Right? Now that's lucid dreaming. Once you got your lucid dreaming down, then you start playing around with your co-dreaming or shared dreaming and dream walking. Now, dream walking can be as simple as I slip into my state, I slip into the dream, I go into dream time. Now, I use that term dream time, and I don't mean to be sacrilegious when I use that term. It is a term that certain religious beliefs use that term in terms of, use that particular vocabulary to signify a certain belief that we are all in a shared dream. We are dreaming now, and dream time is the real time, the real space. You're slipping into it, okay? And so when I use that term, what I really want to mean is we slip into what may be a universal unconscious. Those of you who play with metaphysical concepts, you might slip into dream time, which is the universal unconscious, and relate to the ancestors, but you might relate to the archetypes or the expressions of the archetypes, the gods, or the energies, the universal entities, or whatever your constructs are. And so we can slip into there and we can start having adventures. We have lucid powers, so we can vivify, make things as realistic as possible and have these experiences. But it is an opening of ourselves so that that which is beyond us, that universal unconscious, it streams into us and allows us to interpret it in different ways. And so we can have dream walking in that sense. We meet with the archetypes, so to speak. Another aspect of dream walking or dream time is in certain indigenous cultures, Australian Aboriginal or Taiwan indigenous peoples, or other places, there is a tradition of shamanic journeys. Tibet, Mongolia, the Navajo, the Sioux, the Cherokee, the Comanche. They all have this idea of the shaman or shaman entering into the dreamscape or dream time or just the vision quest. Okay, now, one aspect of this vision journey is to get advice from those archetypes or from others. And one aspect of dream time is to go to the dreaming place. And that is, in our physical world, I enter into my dream and I have a destination in mind. And that destination in mind that I have is of the dreaming place. And it's sometimes a reflection of this place, of this space, but it's typically a reflection of a sacred space. So I might go to, say, if I was Aboriginal Australian, I might go to a rock outcropping that has paintings that are literally thousands of years old. There are rock paintings that are 30, 40,000 years old. They've been there, and it's been a sacred space for as long as man has been there, which is a very, very long time. And I go to this space within my dream to converse with others, other shaman, other dreamwalkers, other wizards, if you will. So we have a wizardy space. I particularly like how the current television series Falling Water, their convocation space is a restaurant and bar. It's a fancy place, it's upscale, but it's where many of the characters go. They find themselves in this location and they meet other characters who they don't recognize as other people. They just assume they're in their dreams until they learn. Once they learn how to do it. So go to your dream time convocation space, this holy space. And it could be the upside down if you prefer. I prefer not to. But if you want to go to that kind of construct. And you can go to, remember, reality is layered. There are a multiple of worlds, and our dreams are layered as well. And they give us access to the dream versions of this multitude of worlds, this multiplicity of existence. So I can go to a higher vibrational reflection, a dream time higher vibrational reflection of this space. But I can also go to a lower vibrational reflection of this space. Now, for the convocation concept, where we meet in a group with others who are explorers and others who are perhaps mentors, then it's typically a sacred space, but it doesn't have to be. It could be a car shop, it could be a museum, it could be my office. Don't go to my office. But it is a space where we meet with others. Now, some of these others we may know, and so we can verify the reality of the experience by just talking to those others. But remember, not everyone remembers their dreams. Part of your lucid dreaming training is to give suggestions to remember your dreams. All right, but we go into this space and we converse with groups, which may or may not be real. All right, that's one aspect. Now, co-dreaming is a little different. Co-dreaming is a concept. It's more of a modern concept. Well, it's an ancient concept, but the application, most of the books that you can find today are modern conceptions. A lot of them are dealing with couples therapy. They don't have to be couples therapy, but there it is. Some people use co-dreaming for erotic exploration with a consenting adult partner. Others do it just for experiential. All right, and so co-dreaming is where I have someone that I'm working with, and this significant consenting adult partner, we agree to enter one's dreams. And one way to practice this is with your partner in the same room, and you both practice trance work, and you lay down together and hold hands and enter your dream together. You have an agreed upon scenario, a location you will meet in the dream, and an activity that you will engage in. By activity, I don't mean let's go into the same dream and just fuck our brains out. It'll be awesome. Won't that be cool? I don't mean that. I mean more of something. Here's a location we'll meet, and we will walk through a park, or we'll just sit at this bench. So let's meet at this bench by a pond and watch the fish together and just see what happens. And so when you do it at the beginning, your co-dreaming experiments are simple. They're straightforward, they're simple. They're intended to explore. All right. And then you can start getting further. Now, some folks, they have a experiment that they do with co-dreaming, which is non-consensual. Or maybe it's consensual, but it's non-informed. Okay, so you have the consent at the beginning, and then you start entering. Once again, the television series Falling Water has an aspect of that, of non-consensual. One of the characters is troubled because in her dreams she's been dreaming about a guy regularly, and they've been having sex in her dreams, and she has all sorts of guilt because in her dreams she's been having sex with this guy, and she thinks her husband is going to figure out she's having an affair in her dreams, and it troubles her. But we discover later that actually it's another character is inserting himself in the dreams and having sex with this woman. And it's real creepy. It got creepy real fast. And there are folks who claim that they can do that they can insert themselves into dreams. But I strongly suggest that if you have that ability to insert yourself into another person's dream non-consensually, don't do that, because it's a real dick move. The poor woman goes through a lot of difficulty and guilt. Some folks have guilt over fantasy. You shouldn't. I mean, your fantasies, that's your mind is your mind. And I greatly, greatly respect former President James Earl Carter, Jimmy Carter. I respect him very deeply, but I disagree with him when he says that I have sinned in my heart when I have had lustful thoughts about another woman and never acted upon those thoughts. I think it's natural and human for folks to have lustful thoughts, and that's fine, as long as, and it's not adultery to have thoughts. Now, if you start having obsessive thoughts or start acting upon those thoughts non-consensually without the permission or consent or informed action of your partner, then you're getting into creepy zone. Then you're getting into adultery. But I don't think that looking at Playboy magazine or Penta, well, they have no, Playboy no longer has good pictures, but looking at nudies doesn't, it's not adultery. It's just natural. So don't have guilt over that stuff. If you have sex in your dreams, don't have guilt over that. Explore it. Understand why it's there. Sometimes it's just because the wind blows. If you're an adolescent boy and the wind blows, your dick's going to get hard. Extra credit. What movie is that from? But you explore such things to see why they're there, because our dreams do have meaning. But don't lose your... Don't get a lot of guilt over a dream. It's there for a reason, but it's not to make you feel shame. Never be ashamed of what you dream and what you feel. Leave the guilt and the shame for inappropriate action. If you do something inappropriately, then yeah, fuck you. But not about a thought. You have thoughts all the time. Hell, I can make myself have thoughts. I'm thinking about you right now in a pink tutu. I made you have thought there too, didn't I? We both thought of you having that tutu on, and that made it real. Either way, co-dreaming, consensual co-dreaming experiments, pop yourself in a trance and tell yourself just work at that. Now, some folks report very positive results with it. Some folks report nothing happened, okay? And I've been in experiments with a group of folks where everyone said, okay, we're going to meet at this location in the dream space. So we organized our own convocations, and only a few folks remembered the experience. And I've been in those kind of experiments where only the folks who remembered it were actually the ones I remember being there. I didn't remember anyone else making it. And so there's that. Actually, once again, the American TV show Falling Water. That is something they do when they start off with group experiments. They have a meeting place, and one person has to go find the others in their dreams and bring them to the meeting place. And it's kind of an interesting construct. But for our purposes, these are experiments that we can do entering into the trance state and play with it. See what you can experience. No agenda other than let's find out what we can do. Start with your lucidity, lucid dreaming, your vivification or the intensity of the experience as real as possible, the memory of the experience, the manipulation of the experience. Once you've got that down, start moving into other things, such as the archetypal convocation, where you meet with the archetypes. Play around with our tarot trance process. That's a nice way to jumpstart that process as well. Meeting in the archetypes, and then you meet with others who are dream explorers, who may or may not be a group you know. Typically, it's just let's go to the sacred space and find out who's there, and then discuss. And then you can give yourselves clues or cues on how to find one another. And you will be amazed that often those clues don't come to anything. You can't figure out who the person really is. But other times it's real, and you really do connect with folks. Then start playing with your co-dreaming and see what you can do from there. But that's dream walking. There are different levels of dream walking. I want to thank everyone who came today. No trance and prosper. Bye-bye.